also important because some of us, we're at different stages of this process. And some of us our first time. So let me go back briefly and tell you how we got here. Last October in 2025, during the municipal forum for the mayor and city councilors or whatever, we had a forum, and not only did we hear from the candidates, we also gave them some our thoughts on 5 benchmarks that we wanted to see happening in our community and places we thought there was a need for. And these needs are long term. They've been around for a long time. So it was important for us to put them on the table. It was important for us and very thankful for us that our mayor stepped up and said, I hear you, I want to be a part of this, and to some extent we need to be accountable to help us meet quarterly, to make these things happen. And so I give him kudos for that, and it wasn't just a campaign promise, he won. And he's still here with us, so I want to thank him for that and bringing the city manager involved and all of that stuff as well. Sam Johnson was there, also Tina Herbert was there as well. So we appreciate that. So what we met and we got together with the 5 things, and let me say we took together was housing, it was economic development, it was public safety, it was infrastructure, and it was health, were our 5 issues that we put together. And we put together a document and passed it out and said, here's what we want to work through. And so we did that. We had a meeting in January and we started that process. Then our next meeting is tonight, our second meeting tonight. So we've had some conversations of how we can go forward. We agreed to do just 2 of the 5 this evening because there's so much moving parts with that. And so that's where we are. I think it was important to go back and tell you how we got to this point because all of you were together with us as we started. We're going to continue this process not only with the city but also with the county and the state. Because clearly there's some things that the city cannot do. We really will help advocate for those things and help us get those things done. We want urgent care in our community. We want continued public safety, expanding safety. We want better jobs for our communities as well. And not only just to have jobs there, but businesses to come into our community to bring us employment, economic base that we need. Those are things we're looking at in this community, okay? And let me just also say, and I can say this is a 2-way street. This is not just the city's responsibility. We as members of the community have our responsibilities. There are things we have to do as well. And I'm going to say we haven't been as good as we should be. So now as we're doing all this time, we're not going to point fingers at anyone. We're going to start this process all together working in partnership, in clarity, in transparency. And I want everyone, on my last point, let's start thinking what we can do. I don't want to say there's an issue and we say, no, we can't do that. Open your mind, free your mind, and let's look at things creatively. Oftentimes you talk to people and tell them about an issue, and you can see their minds working and tell them how to figure out how to tell you no. We're going to have that tonight. We may have maybe to 100, we need 75. So that's collaboration and working together. So all of us need to do that. Like I'm putting charging the community, especially I'm charging the city, to work together in this community. You have got to do the part as well. Okay? So that's my comments. And we'll continue to go. We had a couple of things we want to talk about. We need to go through that. The 2 points, we had a couple of 2 points we want to bring up.
The areas that we talked about. Yes, ma'am. So we're going to start that right now.
Okay. Well, would that be said, yeah, can you do that now? Can you do that now?
Yes. Are you meaning something outside of the presentation we put together?
Well, actually, there were people, we have 2 folks who had some comments on public safety and economic development. I had my thought points, like 5 minutes, he said 3 minutes.
Well, I think it worked really well for us to do the presentation, and after each of those, that's when we'll have the opportunity for the dialogue.
Okay.
So with that, we're gonna start that part of the process, and we do have a QR code too. Jay, I don't know if that is something they should follow along with now. If you would like, on the agenda, there's a QR code that you can follow along with the presentation. I wanted to make sure that Rick and Lynn, and I know Councilman Johnson was here with the little itty bitties, and he probably had to go. Did you need to say? Good, okay. All right, we wanted to make sure we gave them the opportunity as well. With that, I'm gonna ask the Chief Holbrook and Deputy Chief Kelly and our housing official, Mr. Michael O'Neill, to come forward, and we will begin our presentations followed by dialogue and Q&A. Just as there's we have found over the years, through the city and in this role, that connecting those dots there, right where it starts, when you see code enforcement, issues in the community, the best way to get them addressed is with the police department working hand in hand with them. And so they all fall under Chief Holbrook's leadership as well. With that, I'll take it off to Chief Holbrook.
At the heart of South Carolina sits a capital city built on community. And at the center of that community stands the Columbia Police Department, serving more than 145,000 residents and welcoming millions of visitors each year. Our mission goes beyond responding to calls. We are committed to community-oriented policing, building relationships, strengthening neighborhoods, and working together to keep Columbia safe. Partnership is the foundation of what we do. Through collaboration with the Columbia Council of Neighborhoods, residents have a voice in shaping the safety and future of their communities. Inside our real-time crime center, crime analysts use advanced technology and data to identify trends, track activity, and help officers respond more effectively. Training is where that commitment begins. Our basic candidate school prepares new officers with modern policing techniques, from de-escalation and negotiation to tactical readiness and relationship building, equipping them to serve with professionalism, empathy, and accountability. Safety also extends beyond traditional policing. Our code enforcement officers work to strengthen neighborhoods through initiatives like crime prevention through environmental design, helping transform residential and commercial spaces into safer, more vibrant places to live and work. And we believe in the power of second chances. Through our ceasefire program, individuals seeking a new path are connected to resources and support that help them rebuild their lives. At the same time, our victim advocates stand beside those affected by crime, ensuring they receive the care, guidance, and support they need during recovery. Together, these efforts help make Columbia a city where people can live, work, and play safely. Because the Columbia Police Department isn't just protecting a city. We're helping preserve the small-town connection and big city opportunity that make Columbia special. Together, we are Columbia.
That was fantastic. Thank you, Ms. Wilson, Ms. Secretary. Thank you for those opening remarks to talk to our main staff. That was pretty commanding. And this is a great turnout, so thank you all for taking the time to be here. It's our pleasure to talk about some of the things that we're doing specifically in North Columbia and in the Alliance area. And I'm up here with Deputy Chief Kelly and Mike O'Neill. We're going to lead this discussion and then answer some questions. I'm going to start by kind of trying to frame this. North Columbia, we conceptualize that as an area of about 71 square miles. The Alliance in particular, it represents a lot. It's obviously just not one neighborhood. It's about a little over a dozen neighborhoods, 16 other businesses and churches and associations. It accounts every quarter for North Columbia is about 10,000 calls for service for us. So it's quite busy. We take over 2,000 reports. We also, from a code enforcement perspective, and Michael's going to talk a little bit about it, but this is very impactful when it comes to crime prevention and crime in general. But we also look into 430 plus vacant lots in North Columbia, 186 vacant buildings, and over 1,200 rental properties. And those all come with challenges, and you all know that. This is good or better than anybody. The city has invested heavily in technology, and that has been a force multiplier for us, but it's created efficiencies, whether it's our cameras, our license plate readers, the shot spotter technology. Deputy Chief's going to talk about all that and how that be more responsive, will be more available, will be responsive in how it allows us to quickly address crime and disorder with quick solvability, whether it's violent crime or critical collection of evidence. It all ties together. This year has not started out like we would like it to. Full disclosure, we've had 40 people shot. 6 of those have been fatal, and 3 of those have been in North Columbia, in the Alliance. And interestingly, that's 2 less than we had this time last year. So that's about the only positive when it comes to violent crime. But of those, only 6 have been in the Alliance, and all those 40 hits. So it's spread out all across our city. And so it's not just been a geographic challenge for us, it's been something we've had to address without patterns throughout the city. And we're very data driven and analytical with our deployments and how we address this, and we'll talk about some of our strategies. But I say that is for you to know that it's not disproportionate to the Alliance area or North Columbia with respect to our people, that it is absolutely a city and a community problem, and it's got to be a shared responsibility for us to address this effectively where we have sustained results. We've had some incredible results based on some initiatives that we've done. Sustainability with those results is what's challenging. And things that connect to that is irresponsible ownership of rental property or vacant lots or lighting and some of the environmental design things we're going to again talk about with our SEPTED and how that ties directly into code enforcement, police, and the community. Just last week we had 25 arrests in North Columbia. I'm just going to give some highlights on some crime statistics for you. Our robberies we've had 19 year to date, and that's 2 more than last year. Burglaries are at 13. Motor vehicle thefts are at 80, and that's down 5 from last year. We've continued to see property crime go down, and that's a good thing. Aggravated assaults are up, and most of those aggravated assaults are what we refer to as non-fatal shootings. And a lot of it has to do with our young adults, unfortunately. We're going to talk about some of the programming that is in place to deal with that. As you know, we're still waiting on a ruling from the administrative judge on our troubled C-store on North Main. And I will mention that of those 3 fatal shootings, one was, of course, North Main at the laundromat, one was on Colleton, and one was in the Colony. That technology that we're going to talk about in a minute, that allowed us to make arrests within hours, literally, of those incidents. And again, that helps restore some lost public confidence when we can make a quick arrest and restore some trust. So it's very, very important to us. We're also going to, that's one of the things that the Deputy Chief will talk about with our SEPTED, the environmental work that we do is lighting. And I was just talking to our public works folks, and I know Clint's here, that the city, working with Dominion, they have just replaced 9,400 lights from the old, what is referred to as the high pressure sodium lights to the new LED lights. And they also have equipment on it that notifies Dominion when they're out. So just a few years ago, we could task our officers at night. They were constantly providing a list of streetlights, for example, that are out, because we know that lighting is preventative when it comes to crime and disorder. So it was a constant list we were having to push forward. Well, now again, technology is allowing that to be done more efficiently. It's clearing up our officers to be more available for calls for service. We also are very pleased with what we refer to as our call for service reduction initiatives that we're doing. We've outsourced mental health transports. We've stood up a civilian accident investigation team for car crashes with property damage. We now have a robust robust false alarm ordinance, that is just, it's causing people to fix, alarms from not going off every day. We were responding to almost 10,000 false alarm calls. And again, those are taking officers off task. So, through these initiatives, we're reducing calls for service, to 12 to 15,000. And that's impactful for our officers, again, to clear them up, to be more available for our progress calls. So we're very pleased with that. So I'm gonna pass this to the deputy chief, and he's gonna start with talking about this impact of technology.
Good evening, and I'm going to start by initially going off script. I apologize, Chief. I am a former resident of North Columbia, all the way from Greenville, South Carolina, right down there road. And Chief mentioned earlier, it blew my mind. Since January 1, 2026, we've had 40 individuals shot in the city of Columbia. Of the 40 individuals that were shot in the city of Columbia, 38 of them were African Americans. Of the 38 African Americans that have been shot in our city, 37 of them have been males. I'm sorry, 28 of them have been African American males between the ages of 18 and 47. So sitting here before you, as a product of this community, I'm here to say that we have a challenge ahead of us. We have a challenge ahead of us, and it's not going to be a police answer. Mr. Hammond hears me say all the time, we can't jail our way out of any situation that's in front of us, nor should you want us to. So the things that we're doing here at the Columbia Police Department are done in a way to help us leverage technology, help us build community, and help us alleviate the strain that we see that our young people are getting into. They're finding their ways to guns, and they have no problem with it. I mean, it should move you to hear that of 40 people that were shot in our city, 37 of them look like me. That troubles me. That tells me that I got more work to do. So I have nowhere to go. I'll be here. So with that being said, I'm going to technology. I apologize for going off script. The city has invested a vast amount of money and resources into building out technology. That's how we're leveraging our footprint. We cannot have a police officer on every corner, but we can put technology in the areas of the city that we need to do that. The Alliance is covered, I think right now, by about 90 cameras in the area. 85 security cameras in the area, and of the 85 security cameras, they're spread throughout the identified areas of the Alliance. We have 5 license plate readers. You heard Chief Holbrook talk about the violent shootings that we had in the area. Those were solved partly due to the resources that we had at the Real-Time Crime Center. We built out the Real-Time Crime Center to help us do just that. Be places, the eyes and ears around the city where officers may or may not be. We also partner with many businesses around the city to help us feed. They allow us to feed to their camera systems so we can see better what's going on. So those are some of the things that we're doing technology-wise. Also, at home, you can also pull up our dashboard. We've built out several dashboards that you can pull up at home to kind of show you what's going on in the city. This is our auto breaking dashboard, our property crime dashboard. It kind of tells you where crime is occurring, where those property crimes are occurring. But we also have the person hit shooting dashboard. It will tell you where those shootings are occurring at. We know in the last 10 years we've had 447 shootings in North Columbia. At some time we're twice the national average for shootings per capita in our city. It's actually troubling. So I want you to spend some time, we can get it, just to look at how we're building out that data and it's being very transparent and showing that. This information is at your fingertips. You can pull it up on your phone. We're seeing some decreases in certain areas, but it's not vast enough. I think in North Columbia, we had around 189 ShotSpotter incidents. Of the ShotSpotter incidents, 29 have been incidents detected in the United Alliance area. So we know that when the ShotSpotters goes off, the officers get an alert in their car, on their phones, and they respond to those areas to collect the shell casings and to notify the residents that they've had a shooting in the area. And this is the average that we get about monthly gunfire. We calculate that data, and every Tuesday morning at 10 o'clock we talk about where the violence is occurring real time and what our strategies are going to be to alleviate that. property crimes is another challenge for us. That's everything from cars being stolen to plants getting stolen off the porch. We got a call on that not long ago, and we looked at that as well. But again, our camera technology allows us to catch those people that are doing those things. I don't know why you would steal a camera, playing off the front porch, but that tends to happen around the city. I want to talk a little bit about the mobile gas station. What we have been doing along the North Main corridor and a lot of the other corridors around town is challenging some of the liquor licensing and beer wine licensing around the city. Through Inspector Crowley's office, we tend to do that. I think this one is pending through the administrative court. We've been successful on some and others we have not been. We look at how many times the police goes to a business. We looked at what type of business they provide. Is it well lit? Do they sell single beers? Do they sell single cigarettes, which are illegal? What type of business they run? If they're not good for the neighborhood, we try to get that alcohol license taken in a way that helps us. We worked with the hotspot on Farrell Road, and we had some challenges there. And they were pretty helpful in changing the way we did things at that business. They're not there yet, but they're a lot better than they used to be. Something as simple as closing at midnight helped us drastically alleviate the crime. I want to talk a little bit about septet. We call it septet.
I'm sorry, Deputy. I really want y'all to underscore the importance of when those things occur and the voices of the community being heard.
I'll speak to that, Mr. Wilson, and there's no better example of a voice being heard than the group sitting right here. Yes, we do thank him. The last hearing that I attended, it was standing room only, and the community was represented. And whether it's just administrative hearing for a nuisance issue, whether it's an alcohol license or a nuisance action that we take that ultimately comes before Ms. Wilson, or bond court, we will make an arrest of what we refer to as prolific offenders, whether it's a property crime offender or a trigger puller, somebody shooting guns. When we make those arrests, it is super important for the community to be heard, for the victims to be heard. And every time that we stress that, we have that good turnout, it's impactful with the judges, and typically we see a significant bond. It makes sure that it's not only that they're being held in jail, but typically, especially when it comes to violent crime, just hitting pause for a minute where they're not right back on the street is what we call a disruption of the shooting cycle. That means that there's probably not going to be a retaliatory shooting because that person is in custody at the moment.
I want to talk a little bit about septet. Septet stands for Crime Prevention Through Environmental Design. We've done this so far in Booker Washington Heights and Belmont in 2024. We just refreshed it, meaning we sent our evaluators back out to the neighborhood to take a look at what some of the challenges were in Belmont especially. We looked at lighting, illegal dumping, condemned buildings in this core area of the city and how we can alleviate that. So those are the challenges that we are facing in Belmont right now. So we're going to do that through our ordinances, our code enforcement staff, and just working with our property owners to rehab their properties. Michael O'Neill will go into how many poor rental properties we have in the area and how that may cause a problem. But we know if a neighborhood is clean and safe, it will decrease crime. Studies have shown that. We know that if you don't have your old Pontiac home bricks in your driveway or your indoor couch on your porch, that will decrease the likelihood of crime. It's true, but unfortunately people do that, and we know that it's unsightly and it makes the neighborhood more fertile. We feel for crime. So we use that. We have 12 evaluators through the police department and code enforcement that come to neighborhoods to do these studies. So Belmont was the last one we finished on last week, and what we want to do in Singletary is identify areas in the alliance that we can do a septet study and bring you the results, and it'll just give you just kind of a roadmap of what we need to do to fix these challenges. Not all of it can be fixed through city services. Most of it actually needs to be addressed through property ownership and community associations that are developing rules and regulations to make sure your right of ways are squared away and that you don't have those things in the property. So,
if I can underscore this, in my opinion, this is how we have that shared responsibility where we can sustain results. So, I mean, think about this, a vacant home, while whatever's going on with it, it needs to be secured, not just, put the piece of plywood up secured properly. So somebody can't gain access, whether it's to, conceal themselves, do illegal things, or set fire. It's gotta be secured properly. Vacant lots, they've got to be cut, just for sanitary reasons, for mosquito abatement, rodent abatement, again, places for people to hide and conceal themselves. Lighting, signage, that you, and a lot of this is where our public works is very, in our forestry department, we're able to bring them in and they're able to cut things back, but it really requires, assistance from the community and homeowners, and neighbors being good neighbors, but applying these good practices and sustaining that, really goes hand in glove with crime reduction. And we can't overstate it enough. It's been very successful in Booker, Washington. We're excited about, this study in Belmont, and I know we can have similar success, neighborhood by neighborhood, because one of the things that, one of our star crime analysts is not here tonight, but what you will hear him say, and he's exactly right. Crime is, we don't have violent or crime-ridden neighborhoods. We have violent and crime-ridden streets, and more specifically, we typically have violent homes or locations. And then on top of that, we have violent people or criminals. So it's not the masses, it's a few bad apples that are poisoning the whole barrel. And so we try to be very focused on where it's happening, when it's happening, and who's doing it, and then the things that contribute to that. That's where it is that shared responsibility that we're talking about.
We'll talk a little bit about the things that we're doing that are non-enforcement good. We do have in the building, our mental health clinicians that ride with our officers all shift. They help us address and debate those individuals that are in mental health crisis. Again, not having to enter into a law enforcement opportunity, but also to help us with our mental health professionals, get them bed at Columbia Area Mental Health or Morrisville, things like that. Those are ways that help us build community and help people that are in crisis. I can tell you that Allen Glen is not always the place for a person that's in mental health crisis. Another thing that we did, we hired 3 community liaisons. One is also Parsons, who's in the back of the room. Ms. Erica Staley is with us. They help us maintain our programs that are outside of enforcement-driven activities. Ms. Staley helps us with our police activities lead through our parent enrichment nights, also our justice ambassadors, where we bring teams, young people into the police department for a period of weeks to just give them some life skills, learn from them, and run programming that way. What Officer Parks does is work for our young ladies in the neighborhoods as well, kind of run programming and learn more from them. So we're doing those things to help build community and also not lend to an enforcement edge. The other thing I would like to talk about, which Deanna heard in the back room, is our ceasefire program. Ceasefire Columbia is a program we built out some years ago. When we identify individuals that were most likely to offend or be a victim of a violent offense. And from 2017 we started? 2015 we started. We brought individuals in, and our most recent one, we had 31 individuals from North Columbia that we identified. These individuals were all some level of offense. We brought them in and offered them services as well. Deanna Hurd is in the back of the room. She's our ceasefire coordinator. We offer them service from fatherhood initiative to GED to work. We want them to stay a contributor of the community, but if they don't, we put them to the front of the line to go back to jail. And that's tough love, but we beg them almost to not reoffend. So turn 90, path to redemption, Lorraine Act, also Will Society and Cooperative Health. We offer these mainly young men opportunities to turn their life around. And we have some great success stories, but we also have a small minority of people that reoffended. So Ceasefire Columbia is one of our shining examples of what we're doing to not jail our way out of the challenges that we face. One of the bullet points that we talked about is collaboration with community law enforcement. We beg of you, to do this work with us, from our peace walks to our parent enrichment nights, you name it, front porch roll calls, coffee with the top. We beg you to come join us in this fight, the struggle, this challenge that we have to reduce the numbers of crime we have in our community. So with that being said, I'll bring up Mr. Michael Neal to talk about code enforcement. Unless you want any questions now, we'll.
Let's let Mike, is that all right?
All right, good evening, hello. My name is Michael O'Neill, I'm the housing official and code enforcement. I'm gonna go over a few things here. First, I'd like to say thank you, Chief and Deputy Chief, for having me, including me. What we do in code enforcement, many of you probably already know, we have our department, our division in the police department. I think we have about 24 people that spread throughout the city and regions. We have two of our North Region officers in the back, Todd Simon and Spencer Robinson, and they're up here in the North Region. What we do is we ensure all the properties in the city are up to code. So there's certain municipal codes that we enforce, and we look at all properties. We do that in a lot of ways. These guys in the back, they're residential inspectors. They do anything from right-of-ways, vacant lots, and they'll address up to a duplex. We have a team of commercial inspectors, and they inspect businesses and big apartment complexes, because the challenges with those are a little different from the challenges of the residents. The reason we do this in the police department, there's a no police adage where blight leads to crime, and we address blight here in Columbia. So we tear down houses, we cut vacant lots if we can't get the owners to do it. We board up houses if we can't get the owners to do it. So we do a lot of things to try to keep the community safe. Anyway, I'm gonna go through these things on the slideshow. This first one talks about the top 10 code enforcement issues. It's like overgrown lots, which we've mentioned. There's an ordinance for roll carts, and they need to be pulled back to the side of your house. You can put them out the day of, pick up, and then take them in that day. Outdoor placement, I know Chief mentioned having a sofa in your front yard. You know, that's not good for anything. It can harbor rodents. It just looks trashy. So abandoned cars, derelict vehicles, again, doesn't look good, and it again can harbor rodents. One of the big issues with residents is the peeling paint issues. A lot of houses need painting. That's an ordinance we have, but it benefits the homeowner too, because it'll protect your home. So we try to encourage that. We've been kind of focusing here lately on front yard parking. So that's a zoning ordinance, and we've kind of taken that on where you can't just park on your grass. You can park in the front yard, but you have to make it a parking area. I think there's some landscape timbers, some crush and run, or some bark or something, and make it a designated parking area. Then you can park there. We also address houses in extreme disrepair. The roof is falling in. You know, we can send out notices to owners. Hopefully they'll fix it. If not, we can move it to the demolition list, and the city will demo it and charge the owner or put a lien on the property. Another one, which is an easy fix, is premise identification. A 4-inch letter should be on the front of your house. It's good for everybody. So EMS or so, the police come, they know where they're going. There's nothing more frustrating driving down the road, seeing something, and you're not sure where it is. So you can get those 4-inch sticker numbers from Home Depot, Lowe's. I mean, only a couple of dollars if you don't have them. Encourage your neighbors to get that. That's a cheap and easy fix, and it helps so many agencies, fire department, police department, helps code enforcement, animal control, helps everybody when they know where they are. We also have the residential rental ordinance. So years ago, people would rent properties, and big companies would rent properties, and they'd be out of state. And most of the time, our problems in code enforcement come from rental units, and you may or may not be experiencing this in your neighborhood. ordinance now. Long-term rentals and short-term rentals now. Because what I always like to say, people who have rental property, it's their business. So to be successful in business, they want to maximize revenue and minimize expense. And the expenses are keeping up with these properties. So they always try to find a way to avoid keeping up with their property. So this rental ordinance that we passed helps us hold the owners accountable. They have to have a local representative that we can go to, even if the ownership is in Minnesota or California. We have someone local we can go to. So that, we enforce that ordinance. And then the other top 10 is the right of ways. Just trash and debris in the right of ways. We'd like to keep that clear, so that's we also do, I mentioned the right of way, we do vacant building registration, which is, if there's a vacant building, I think it's a $50 fee. Not everybody has to do it. If it's a building for sale, you don't have to register it. But if you just have a vacant building, it should be registered. And it's the same thing with the rental property. You have to have a local representative in case there's an issue, we know we can get a hold of. We also enforce the nuisance ordinance, enforcement with the police. And we also handle mosquito and rat control. We can spray, we don't spray unless there's been a confirmed case of vector disease, and then we'll spray a mile radius of where that disease is located. But we do preventative stuff. We put out larvicide, we educate the public on how to minimize that.
And you're not spray without ample notification.
Right, everybody knows, it'll be posted, everybody knows that, but we don't, I know the county goes around and sprays semi-regularly, but we don't do that.
Two maps right here as we close. On the one on my left, your right is our rentals. What's that number?
The rentals, for
In the Alliance area.
the Alliance area is, there's 1,201 long-term rentals and 8 short-term rentals. And those are, to be frank and honest, those are the ones who've registered with us. There may be other ones that people are trying to, skirt their responsibilities. But we have dedicated inspectors that work that, and, in conjunction with our regular inspectors, so if they suspect, we'll send out the rental inspector to investigate that, try to get them into compliance. One on the right is a vacant lot, in the Alliance, and, let's see, there's 433 vacant lots. Again, we do have a crew, and we'll cut them if the ownership can't do it, because it's imperative to keep those things, cut. We've demoed 22 houses since 2023 in the Alliance. Those are vacant and run down, they were a blight on the community, so we've been able to get those down. This year, we started 485 cases, and we've closed 638 cases in 2026. Since January 2025, we've opened 1757, and we've resolved 2141, which is good, which means a lot of people are getting the notice and taking care of what they need to do.
And I want to add too, something that I think is very important is, and what we emphasize with code enforcement. It's a tough job. A lot of people won't like to see the code enforcement officer coming, but our directive in hand is solving problems, being problem solving. It's not about being punitive. We can work through a code violation and mitigate it. That's our goal. That's a win for everybody. So please don't think that if they're coming to get you and penalize you, it's about to solve the problem. There might be some things that we can help mitigate whatever that situation is, but I think you'll find it very easy to work with.
Absolutely. Communication, people don't see in our notice of violation, it says you have X amount of days to resolve the violation, and then they stop reading. But if that says, or make arrangements. So people need to communicate with the inspectors, and 99% of the time, we're gonna work with you, give you more time. show you some solutions, to the problem. So please reach out to the inspectors in your area.
Yeah, just want to do that, but before we go to that point, I'm gonna go through a few things, because, people said my name, that was very kind, but there's a lot of members of the Alliance, we have an executive committee, and our secretary over there is Maya, vice president over there is Linda, there's David, and Mr. Hannibal on the committee, helped put all this together as well, so I wanted to shout them out. And so we had some thoughts on public safety before the question and answer begins, and I'm going to just do that, because, the gentleman who's gonna do it had, challenge me, because it's too nice, so he asked me to do it for him. So what we had on public safety was, we clearly have like 5 points. We want to look at, of course, reduction of violent crimes and gun-related incidents. Of course, that just kind of makes sense. We want to continue to work with you and think about the strategies that are being used for prevention. We're glad you have those in place. But also, we just think we basically just need some more staff. I mean, we have a large district, and we're thinking that that might help in the process. We add more staffing. And that goes for code enforcement as well as policing, some more people to help us with the process. We also talked about expanding youth and parent outreach. We talked about that chicken and egg in terms of should get to parents first, they're going to children, or the children go to parents, or whatever. We know there's some programs out there. We want to continue to build on those programs as well and continue that process and make sure people are aware of those. I'm not saying it's not being done. We want to continue that consistency of that program going forward. And also in terms of using partnerships we have out there, school and faith-based organizations, let's use those. I know another church, at least the ones in the Alliance, are willing and open to try to host and bring people to bear and do can help that process along. Of course, we want to continue to have transparency with our neighborhood and our watch, and of course our policing initiatives, improve our safety through a couple of things. You know, it's kind of a catch-22. I do appreciate the effort that code enforcement is making in terms of trying to give people a chance. Our committee is concerned we give them too much of a chance. People just doing stuff and so we get nothing done. So we would do a little conversation, let's push back a little bit, say, hey, it's just 3 citation thing, and if they come to court and we give another 2 months, it's like, we're kind of tired of that.
Yeah.
You know, we're thinking it's time to go ahead and put the hammer down. I know every situation can't be judged that way, but we're concerned that we are being bent or backward, trying to help, but it's really hurting our community in terms of
I think,
all of that.
I mean, a couple of thoughts on that. I think we did approach that similar to what we have done with prolific offenders. We need to apply that to code enforcement. So it would not surprise me if you do not have a handful of people who are probably doing the same thing over and over again. And we do see some folks that do manipulate the system a little bit. They will make some repairs, get it close, and then we move on to something else, and then kind of falls back into this repair and starts the cycle over again. Yeah. So I think we can figure out some strategies together.
And we want to, all of us, to invest in prevention programs, ministry programs, like we have already. Most of them have, so we need more of those to get our young people involved. I know it's hard. I know Erica will be out there. I see her out there, whatever. And we all got to help that process along. And so with that piece, I'm going to also say for the community, we have to participate in watch programs and safety programs ourselves. We got to call law enforcement and let them know what's going on. No more days of I ain't gonna tell nobody because I don't want to get involved. We have to get involved. This community has to be called involved. We also want the community to build relationships with law enforcement and code enforcement. That's important. That you know who to call, how to call, you have a conversation, y'all know each other, that there's a 2-way street going on, so we think that's important for the community. In terms of the programs I just talked about, in terms of prevention and helping our programs, it's time for us to volunteer as a community. The churches, let's volunteer. Erica, wave your hand, girlfriend. Listen, call her. Let's volunteer. Let's get people out to help get that done. That's the only way it's going to be beneficial, because we know the city got big pockets, but they ain't that big. So we will have to step up and help get some of those things done as well. And of course, we want to always, in terms of promoting accountability on both ends, from the law enforcement, code enforcement, and us as a community. We really want to be a partner, we really want to show you we're going to work for it, and we need to work for that. So those are the comments that Alliance had in terms of public safety going forward.
I just want to add really quickly, because we track that, it's been 2 years now at the Columbia Police Department of the juveniles that we have taken into custody. We have not taken a juvenile into custody that's involved in a structured after school or summer program. Those kids who say, my pleasure in hanging your Chick-fil-A, or in an AAU team, or in a church group, we hire every summer, so as long as I've been at the police department, kids from the urban league, the busier we keep our young people, the less likely they'll have an enforcement encounter with them. We'll bring them in the building and use them as interns, and they work in my office and the chief's office and that part. But if we keep our kids busy in structured, positive activities, data shows 2 years now, they do not have enforcement level interaction with us. We are not arresting those kids.
And that's why it's important
That's the
that,
secret sauce.
I'm sorry,
Oh,
that's how important that this dialogue go in here. We need to have a continual concept, a planning session for just that. How can we get more people involved? How can we let these churches and other organizations know? This can't be a one-time stop. We're gonna meet again, but we don't need to wait for 3 more months to meet again. We need to have some conversations next week and the week after in terms of putting a small group of people together and bringing our resources in the community to the resources that law enforcement and the city has, so we'll be able to get these things done. So we have to commit to that on both ends.
And let me speak just 1 second on transparency. You will not find a more transparent police department anywhere in the country. We have our annual reports public, our internal affairs reports public. We have these shooting dashboards. We're nationally accredited. We have industry standards that we have to prove that we hit. That is all available. All of our policy and procedures online for anybody to look at. That accountability, those checks and balances, it makes a difference, and it means something. We haven't had an officer-involved shooting in a number of years. We haven't had an in-custody death in a number of years. Our uses of force are incredibly low considering 6,500 arrests we make every year. And, thousands and thousands of citizen contacts. Our officers are treating people with dignity and respect and de-escalating, and that's why those numbers are what they are. Are we perfect? Absolutely not. We make mistakes, but we want you to have confidence that we hold ourselves accountable to you and to ourselves, and we have a process for that. But we're an open book, and we are always willing and eager to share anything, the good and the bad.
Well, thank you, President Terry. Thank you, Chief Michael. This view right now of your chief, your deputy chief, and their team members is really something that I can't be more proud of. The passion that you hear from them. I mean, I put them up being the best in the country. I mean, I brought the chief here, so I'm happy to be able to say that many years later. And he's such a genuine person at his heart for service. And then the two of them together with Deputy Chief, I mean, we listened to what he said at the beginning of his comments. That is because that's lived experience in our community. You can't get any better than that with the two of them together and what they're preaching every single day. This end point of where you're talking about youth and community and us coming together, that's the missing link in my opinion. I mean, we are doing and providing and programming and community policing We also went to Parks and Recreation, and that is one of the daughter's new graduation events, but Philly Park is a pride and joy. We're gonna keep it that way. I'm not making any, I'm just calling it for what it is. To not just go let unaccompanied minors who are not with the right intention go and do teen takeovers for the wrong reasons, and let parents be okay with just dropping kids off, not just at Finley, but any of these parks as the summertime is taking off. So absolutely what Deputy was saying about, having the right type of activities for our youth, we have them. We just have to help rally around them, if you will, to make sure that they know about these things, these opportunities, and hold parents accountable for making sure that they are being, accompanied when they should. We want our park to be utilized by our teens and come have a good time and all of the things, but it has to be done in the right way and for the right reasons and with parental involvement. So we have the people in the room, and I think we absolutely want to follow up immediately with any other suggestions you might have in that regard. 100%. Yes, sir.
One of the interesting things about public safety, and I think each one of you know this, everybody is participatory. Everybody has to find and participate in the community as it relates to public safety. Mayor, city manager, council members, chief, deputy chief, Mr. O'Neill, we can't do this by ourselves. There has to be some participation in the community that's going to engender the kind of enthusiasm that you're going to hear more about tonight. It's about participation. We can say things about code enforcement and how code enforcement ought to work. We know about CPD, but until you see that person or that group of persons in your community that will snitch, amen, that's when community works. It has to be a collaborative approach. We can't do it all. Mayor Rickman can't do it all. None of us can do it all. But with your help, we can make this city a safer city, a city that stands and shines like a light on top of that beacon. It takes participation, and it takes a community that is going to collaborate with other entities within our city.
Well, the programming and resources out there, we're gonna work together to make sure we expand our reach. I know, Mr. Jason Longhorn is here from the Columbia Urban League. Now, I'm a Columbia baby, grew up here back when the Stop Violence movement in Finley Park was a thing. And it's just all comes full circle. And it's just about our youth having, people wrap their arms around them in the right ways. The youth action guides are out tonight, I believe, our public relations department brought some, I'm sure, that they help put together. We're trying to do the things that we can do. We're not perfect, but we certainly want to hear from you to see how we can expand upon the things we are doing. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
When you were, posting the gunshot, detection, is that in real time?
No, that's to your events. What do you mean?
No, when it goes off in the actual graph, if I log onto the website into that dashboard, is that real time? And one of the reasons why I'm asking that, we had an incident a couple of weeks ago, where a guy was down the street, I said, well, there's woods, and he shot the gun, he hit the clip 6 times, And by the time we call the cops, they were already dead.
Yeah, so the dashboard's not real time, it's about a day to get in, but we get it real time.
Okay.
That's just what's public facing. Those gunshot detections go immediately to our officers in their car and on their phones.
Right.
And it takes them to within about 45 meters of that epicenter of that shot that's being fired. So we are on scene within minutes.
Right. Y'all don't wanna take every word.
Great evening, together we are Columbia. Do I love that slogan, right? Am I saying it right?
Brand ambassador.
Together, we are Columbia, right? So, I'm not gonna say who I am, because everybody knows already. I represent, I'm Greenview Strong, that's all I'm gonna say. That map, can you put the map of the rental properties? I'm devastated that the red is so prominent in our area.
Red is rental, blue is.
Is that what it is?
53% of all the properties in Columbia.
53% in Greenview, well, 47% in Greenview is rental. So, with that in mind, when I drive through my community, and I'm sure you can tell by that North Columbia has a large percentage, I can automatically tell rental property from owner property. And I always tell, like Councilwoman Tina Herbert, renters don't come with lawnmowers. They don't. They can barely pay the rent sometimes. They're just happy to be in a home. So they don't come with lawnmowers. So I would like some type of enforcement to property owners to maintain their property and not necessarily put it on the renter. Because, like I said, you can drive and you can already tell. So, my question or solution is, do you already have an ordinance in place for landlords? Do they get a certain amount of violations? Do they get, can you please go into further detail about how that's done? Does that exist at all?
Yes, ma'am, each property owner is responsible for it. I think what you're suggesting is a great idea, and I've told many landlords, just increase the rent, $40 a month and have a lawn service and save.
So there's nothing in place when there's a code violation?
But what we do is we stay on them and we issue them, the first violation, if we take them to court, it's $470, the second offense is $880. And so it gets to a point where the landlord, it behooves him to keep it. So that's what we try to do. The problem is oftentimes that renter will be there for a year, and then it's turned over to somebody else, and we almost have to start the education process, again with the new tenant.
So to be clear, my question is there something in place for property owners when they are landlords, if they're a nuisance? Is there something in place for code enforcement to?
Yes, ma'am. And once they're registered as a rental apartment, not only can they be summoned and taken to court, but we have a point system that goes against your rental permit. And each point, I think it's about $100 for each point. After a certain amount of points, we can revoke your rental permit, and then the landlord has to present a remediation plan to the chief. The chief reviews it, and then decides whether they can go ahead and continue to rent it or not rent it.
So there is a point system?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then the other thing the solution to the problem is, I think within the last 3 or 4 years, with the upgrade of cameras, I'm seeing less police officers on the street. Now, I don't know if it's because you have less police officers, but I think a problem solver is to see them more, and then crimes won't happen. So I personally just want to see more drive-bys. And I don't always look like this. I've been in the garden. I played pickleball today. This is not how I normally look.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Bob Petrulis. I'm the president of the Hyatt Park Keenan Terrace Neighborhood Association. And I just wanted to say one thing, one really positive thing, I think, and that is we've been having a little bit of a disagreement with the Family Dollar at the corner of Sunset and Main. They were not cleaning up their parking lot. There were a number of problems. And I talked with them for weeks, and finally called David Hatcher, from code enforcement. He went over, gave him a little visit, and instantly, things started to turn around. So I think we're gonna have to keep our eyes on them. I don't think they're gonna keep it up unless we do. But I just wanted to say that he was very responsive and was really, it was really encouraging, the result that we got. So I wanted to appreciate that. And I'm thinking that I would love to see something like what you were describing for landlords, to apply to businesses. You know, if we get chronic problems with businesses not cleaning up or allowing, behaviors that we don't like or whatever, I think after a certain point, they have to lose their business license. And I know that sometimes they lose their alcohol license, which is, and then they sell to another owner and the license comes right back. But, you know, I think that if we could do something like that, it would be great. Maybe it already exists and I just don't know about it. But I just want to say that I did appreciate how that happened. The other thing in my neighborhood, in Hyde Park and Terrace, we have a lot of abandoned houses and vacant lots. And I think it would be really great if the city council could take this up and really think about how we can incentivize small developers to go in and rehab old houses or put houses on vacant property, and incentivize maybe owners who are just hanging on to property and not developing. I just think, you know, you're not gonna get Mondo Homes to go into a place and build a couple of houses on vacant lots. But what we need to thicken up the neighborhood, to improve the tax base and all the rest of it, is to really find ways to incentivize the people who really can do that. And I think that means small, design build companies and others to get in there and really do that. So I'm hoping that will, that maybe we can light a fire under the council to do something about
The
that.
fire is lit, okay, so they're already doing it, and I would encourage you, I know we don't have time, we're not gonna get off on that tangent to give you the whole story, but I would encourage you just this week at the Community Development Committee of Council, which should have been streamed, so you should probably pull it up, we can send you a link. We did an update on that program as far as what the city's doing with the vacant lots that we have control over. And you're exactly right. I think it could be a real template for what other smaller developers can do as
And
well.
I think it would be transformational for our neighborhoods, because, we just got so much, that we do spread out. Anyway,
Yes.
I appreciate it very much.
Good evening. My question is, well, I have two questions. CPD, Chief, Deputy Chief, you spoke about the high crime in the north, north region. And you guys spoke about initiatives that we have in place. Can you guys kind of like speak on that? What initiatives do we have that's been already in place?
Specific to
North,
crime,
yes.
just in terms of identifying, being very strategic, fishing with a spear instead of a net. Identifying persons, that's part of the CFI program, that we know cause trouble in certain areas. We know that they're on probation, we know that they're on ankle monitor. Addressing those individuals specifically instead of casting a wide net. We know that, everyone that lives on a certain street or in a certain apartment complex is an issue. Focusing on that individual issue or that individual apartment and addressing them specifically through management, through their probation officer, through enforcement is the way we deal with that problem. The challenge for us in law enforcement and historically issues that we've had, problems that we've caused, is going into a neighborhood, jumping out of a van, and swooping up everything. That is not the level of enforcement that we are into. We want to be specific and addressing and identifying the issue and dealing with them specifically. On the flip side of that is hiring individuals like Ms. Erica Staley, Officer Parks, Ms. Linda Myers, who are community liaisons. They are there to identify livability, those issues and problems that we can address through non-enforcement
and, city manager, you spoke about, where we do have a wealth of city programs, would be one of the challenges that I see coming from my neighborhood is the lack of transportation. Is it something that we could partner with school districts or the county to use their buses to get our kids to the facilities? Is that something that we can look at?
Absolutely, I think that's a great idea, you know, from a liability perspective, we always have to be careful when we are taking total ownership of that, but if the partnership is with the schools, and maybe the comment would be, open to some type of vouchers or some program like that, I would love for us to explore that, and I think that's something I would, you know, probably get our folks we talked about earlier, some of our community liaisons to help us do that research. It's a great idea.
Mr. Hammond, we also have a police, activities leading van. We're getting ready to do a summer camp. You're exactly right, transportation is a huge issue, for these children. The park and recreation does a fantastic job of opening their facilities and our school resource officers, are engaged through the summer when the school's not in to help as our officers are. Anywhere that we identify where there is a transportation issue, we're pretty good at solving that problem. If you know of something specific, you'll let us know, we'll work through it. But it is a broader discussion for some mass transportation, but I think that has been an impediment for, some of our young folks getting some programs.
The same time, don't forget about churches and other community organizations, talking to them, they've got buses that are sitting there every day, vans that are sitting there every day, we've got to get, these programs are only will be successful if everybody's got equity.
Thanks, Mr. Hammond.
And we've got a whole, yes ma'am, come forward, we've got, 2 more sections to present, so we'll probably cut off the question and answer for the, public safety piece after these folks stand, and then we'll have more time for the end. Yes, ma'am.
So I'll keep it really short. I'm from the Kingsburg neighborhood. I've lived there since 2020. And I appreciate what you're saying about code enforcement, but seeing how it's reflected in practice is a little different. So the house next to me has been condemned since 2019, and I went through all the avenues that I thought I was supposed to, which was email and going through the app. The app is great. And y'all showed up, and, you said, yes, it's been condemned, put flyers on the doors, and if no one responds in a month, we're gonna tear it down. Nothing happened. And went through this process a couple of times. Right now, the house is covered in a blue tarp. You can literally walk through the wall. I mean, there are cats and termites last week, a swarm of them. So seeing like what's said and what actually happens is a little hard. That's my first,
What's the
So, well, we'll get the address after,
Okay.
privately, if that's okay, chief. And then what I will say, because I was gonna say this earlier, and I don't know until we look at the address, but it isn't always as easy as that because of legal, we can do everything we can do to get it to that point, and then sometimes if there is an heirs property or an absentee landlord somewhere, and they have done the very bare minimum through the court process to not allow us to come in and demolish, that may be it, I don't know, we can look. So I would love, Michael, if y'all could work with her while she's here, so we can take a deeper dive on that one for you.
and I have one more. So in our neighborhood, it's a regular thing where people from outside the neighborhood come and dump trash. I mean, because they're trying to avoid keys. So these are, just their job to like clear out people that have been evicted or demolished houses or what have you. And just like huge loads of trash right in front of our house. Like in our neighborhood, I have great neighbors. I mean, other than like the 4 or 5 vacant homes on my street. And it's like really disrespectful. And there's got to be a better way to deal with this.
We need to catch it in real time, some pictures, which will speak volume. And we do now have some, people don't know this, on many of our, bigger there's cameras on them, trying to capture those things in real time so that we can go back and, you know, at the site and find out who did the dumping, because that's really key, but I don't know if I can speak to the dumping.
You know, it's the process. It's not only you and me, we have visual dumpers, and we're constantly tracking that down. You know, we work with solid waste. If you contact us, we'll go out, we'll try to see if there's any kind of, evidence in there where this is coming from, and so we can track that down. Most of the time, it's just, there's nothing, and then we can just call solid waste for them to come pick it up. But that's usually what we have, and it's not only here in the neighborhood, it is throughout the city. I think, one of my first court cases was when I was an inspector, a neighbor took a guy was gonna dump in front of his house, and he stopped him. We just went up the street and dumped it. And the man came to court, testified that he saw that, and that was the first time we got that guy, found him guilty. So, you know, if you work with us, we can catch some of these people.
So like, if I know if these gentlemen here in a second, if you have individual issues that you wanna talk to them about, they'll talk to you now about those, we give the addresses and all that. And then these three people, we'll head to the next section. Yeah.
Good evening. I have a property located at 3600 Colonial Drive, vacant property, and I'm supposed to be meeting with the city on discussing some of the things we might be able to do with it. But we would be open to possibly having an urgent care if it's in the right area. So I just want to throw that out there, and I am going to be meeting with the city what we're going to do.
Thank you.
This is how I
Thank you. Yeah.
We're from, Prescott Terrace Community. I'm the president, Dr. Constance Ward, and this is my assistant, and we have Gerald over here, which is my vice president. And we have a problem with the code enforcement. We would use the app, taking pictures and put on the site with the complaint. And we have a owner who rents out. And I don't know whether he has a certificate or not, but I have pictures that have had 12 cars in the yard at one time. Yes, I mean, they all live there, and they park on the grass. Then it go around the corner to the 1700 block. I mean, the carport, grass not being cut, and we've been reporting. I mean, I had surgery, I tried to run the code enforcement.
Report to me as soon as we're done. Your report to me as soon as we're done, we'll get your information, and we'll get okay.
One quick thing, this city in our area, a lot of our young kids can't go to Sunday Park. We already discussed that. We have a lot of vacant lots in our area. I grew up in an area where we had community closed parks, smaller parks, where there were basketball courts, where there were baseball fields. We have none of that in our area. None of that. I live in the area, for me to go to Greenview or go to the other gym, it's my way. I have 14-year-old, 13-year-old, they can't walk that way.
Like pocket parks.
Like a pocket park.
Yes, sir.
Like where I live on Brunswick Drive, and there's a lot of vacant areas here. Why can't we convert that to a mini outdoor basketball court?
We've done some of that before,
Where?
with vacant lots that we have ownership of, so what we'll have to do is
Yeah,
talk
that
about
is a
it.
great idea, and then keep the kids distracted there from going that way. And we don't know where to go.
We have to figure out who owns those lots.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we're gonna transition, thank you gentlemen, appreciate you. And we're gonna also have a complimentary discussion from our planning and zoning update and our land development administrator, Jonathan Chambers.
the city of Columbia, and I'm gonna talk to you about planning and development services. Planning and development services comprises of the zoning division, planning, permits, building inspections, and land development. Tonight I'll talk to you about the current zoning regulations for the area, vacant lots, you've heard a lot about, setbacks, neighborhood compatibility, development activity, and long-term planning for the neighborhood. Now, there's a lot of maps. This area is about 19 neighborhoods and several businesses, so we have to go through them. The zoning maps, your purple and your reds, light purples, turquoise, those are gonna be your commercial districts. Your browns, yellows, different shades of yellows will be your residential districts, and they are several. This is the map between Farrell Road and Columbia College and Fry Road. This is the Fairfield Road corridor, Senator Ridge to I-20. The white is the North Main overlay district. We have, this map is the North Main Street from Avondale Drive to Tremont Avenue. And again, there's a lot of white because of the North Main overlay. You have the Eau Claire area. We see a lot of residential, the commercial is going to be to the south. And then this is going to be North Main and the River Drive portion of the area. I believe there's 19 neighborhoods in this alliance. And then this is the Greenview area. So these are all the various zoning districts. Again, you have your red, purples, which represents your commercial. You have your yellows and your browns. The yellows are going to be your single-family residential lots. Your brown will be the multi-family, gray, light industrial, purple, light purple will be the employment campus, land development, and transitional conservation district. And because I know that was a lot of information to cover, this QR code will take you to our zoning website where you will find the zoning districts. And if you click on the zoning district, each one will tell you what the zoning is, what it means, and what you can do in that zoning district. The North Main overlay, the North Main Corridor Design Overlay District. The purpose of the North Main Overlay District is to support the transition of the North Main Corridor to a pedestrian-oriented mixed-use corridor that is compatible with surrounding residential development. The district standards and guidelines promote transition from low-intensity commercial development pattern to a walkable mixed-use corridor that supports multiple modes of travel. Got it. All right, so there's been a lot of discussion about vacant lots. And as it's already been stated, there are a lot of vacant lots in the area, and there's a lot of opportunity for single-family residential development. There's also a lot of opportunity for commercial and mixed-use development in this area. I'd like to point out that if you do have a vacant lot that is what we call non-conforming, which means that it does not have the required square footage of today in order to develop a lot. Because it's an existing non-conforming lot of record, you can build a single-family residence on that lot, just as long as you meet the setback requirements in the lot coverage limitation. So those lots are viable for development. So, in layman's terms, the lots are grandfathered in. These are lots that are grandfathered. meaning that they do not meet today's standards or create more. But you have this lot that does not meet the standards of today. It's old, it's grandfathered in, and so you can't use that lot for development. Correct. Yes, ma'am. Correct. Vacant lots. So when we talk about development, in these commercial areas adjacent to residential, we want to make sure that we preserve the character and establish single-family neighborhoods by providing a proper transition, ensuring compatibility between single-family detached, two-family dwellings, and then more intense forms of development. And so any new development on a lot adjacent to any residential lot, which is vacant or upon which is located a single-family detached dwelling or two-family dwelling. Items that are reviewed in neighborhood compatibility zones would be building height, building orientation, building design, driveways, off-street parking, loading service, refuse container areas, drop-in facilities, exterior lighting, signage, open space, and natural features. So basically, if you're building on a commercial area and you're adjacent to a residential neighborhood, residential neighborhood, we want to make sure that that development is compatible with the neighborhood and that you have buffers and the commercial doesn't overshadow the commercial. The commercial doesn't overshadow the residential, that it fits in, essentially. Permit activity within the area, there was some large developments in the area between 2023 and today. Most notable would be the Eau Claire Cooperative Health Facility, the Dollar General on West, the Dollar Tree rebuild on West Beltline, the Summit Spine and Joint Ambulatory surgery build, and the Farrell Road, South Carolina State Credit Union branch. And then also there was an expansion of the kitchen at the Bid High School. There was a total of 32 permits during this time, and there's a breakdown of the share of permits versus the area. So 38% of the permits were issued on North Main, 31% on Farrell Road, 13% on Monticello Road, 9% on West Beltline, and 9% on Fairfield Road. And total permits were $7,485,128. There's a long-term plan for the neighborhood. There were 2 neighborhood plans that were done for the area, the buildings at North Columbia, which was done some time ago. And it was the redevelopment and revitalization initiative focused on improving neighborhoods in North Columbia through housing investment, infrastructure upgrades, economic development, and enhanced community amenities. The plan was developed to guide long-term growth and reinvest in areas facing aging housing stock, underutilized property, and infrastructure challenges. And again, this is the old villages at North Columbia plan from back in 2004. Correct. And then the newer plan, Walkable 29203 plan, is a community-driven initiative focused in improving walkability, safety, overall quality of life of 29203 zip code in the area of Columbia. And the plan reflects the input of residents, local organizations, and city partners, and aims to address long-standing infrastructure and connectivity gaps. The key initiatives in this plan are safer streets and infrastructure, connectivity and access, equity and investment, community health and quality of life, implementing strategy, and then community engagement, which we're having this evening. Yeah. 2023. It's recent. And And then planning and development services, this is our website, this is the QR code to our website. So anything planning, zoning, land development, it can be found at this website.
Any questions for Jonathan? Jonathan is welcome knowledge and has been with us for a long time. So he's doing a great job. Yes, sir, Mr. Nathan.
I was concerned about zoning on Commerce Street, right behind St. John Baptist Church. And I noticed, church is all lost there for 40 years. And there's a house being built there, and it's like a mini mansion. The other house is so small, but it does not seem compatible for that community.
That house, well, there's a couple houses that are being built. You talking about the brick house that's being?
Yeah, I
Brick
already
house,
got
or the,
also the one on College Street, but I know there's some other houses, College Street's back, and two huge houses. I mean, they kind of swallowed up the other surrounding houses.
those houses, were permitted and they do meet the requirements of the zoning ordinance. That they do not have there's not a design overlay for the area at this time. There has been some discussions about possibly building some design overlays for the area, but currently there are none, and they do meet the requirements of the zoning, so what is considered.
So I know that, thank you for the extension. It's building some mini mansions in those areas, and, people buying lots of people, huge houses, and they put a stop to that. I think my observation, as a city planner, and I know this mixed land uses really not good in essence. And so I just make these observations because I see in African Americans and minority communities, we have a lot of mixed land uses and things of that nature. Now, Columbia has not been as aggressive over years as some of the other communities. Because when I came to Columbia from Charlotte, you never saw a trailer house next to a residential house. And you never saw houses built in industrial areas in essence. And so I think we've done a great job over the years, but I am concerned about this incompatibility where you have small houses and you have these huge mansions in the area. I mean, it's like it's swallowing up the community.
Mr. Alcorn, like I said, the houses that were built, they are compliant. But based upon your concern, there has been some discussion about possibly implementing some design overlay districts in that area that could possibly prevent further construction of homes of that type and then making them more compatible with already existing in the area.
Well, thank you so very much. I just really appreciate this opportunity to speak. I think it's very important to bring people here so they can make observations. And appreciate what you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just wanted to thank y'all for putting this together. Really from hijacking part of the meeting. I'm from the Hyde-Park Terrace neighborhood, and we've not had anything to my knowledge like this in my area. It's awesome. Speaking of zoning, the overlay and these plans for a walkable North Main corridor don't seem to mean a lot when it comes to the big business going to the zoning board and asking for an exception. The Murphy's that is attempting to go in on the corner of North Main and Sunset, the citizens of all the strong neighborhoods, I don't think you find anybody that wants a Murphy's to go in on that corner and allow the title loan that is the biggest eyesore and a blight on the community, and does nothing for the people that live there. It simply throws on the floor. They want to move to a setback, so they want to get an exception to the rule of allowing them to do this so we can have a Murphy's there. That is completely contrary to the overlay plan and to the whole plan for And it would further put out, most likely, put out of business the existing gas stations, leaving us with a bunch of vacant gas stations and gas tanks in there. How does this benefit the community in any way? And yet, we had to file a lawsuit because the zoning board didn't follow the rules. So we're in the process of being in court for that. So I'd like to hear you speak a little bit about just how much these rules and these overlays, we spend money on studies, coming up with all of that, and yet it just gets cast aside, and there's nothing anybody can really do.
Thank you for that question.
Well, what I can tell you is that the Murphy's Oil, gas station went through the Board of Zoning Appeals. It was a public process. There was public comment. The board met, it was a public meeting, and the board approved the application. Of course, it's in the design overlay district, and I believe that it went to the DERC last night and received approval as well. Those are also public processes. People from the neighborhood came out, they spoke in opposition. There was people that spoke in support of the application. It was a public process, and the application, it was approved.
Let me ask you a question to that question. Down the North Main corridor, we have a challenge with an inordinate amount of gas stations, liquor stores, vape shops. Where was that?
Dollar Trees.
Yeah. My question to you is, when do you have, or is there an ordinance that we can have put in place to fight for, that we cannot have X amount of liquor stores with certain distance, whether it's a half a mile or a mile? So then, let me just share with you, when I drive down out of my house, I go on North Main Street, I drive on North Main Street in Wilkes Road, and I go down North Main Street, turn on Fairview Road and come around, there are 18 vape shop liquor stores, gas stations. My question is when and how, because I was looking at one of our things on here that came up, how do we start that process of stopping that overabundance of these questionable businesses? We have so many liquor stores, vape stores, it's crazy. We have a store with no name on it. How that happen? You don't have to say no name on it. It's just a store there, they're selling vape and beer, wine, and gas, you don't have a name on it. And how can we start that process and asking for help on putting some laws in place that will stop folks from building so many of these entities?
Yes. Don't forget the sleazy motels.
Well, look, I mean, no.
The liquor stores are permitted, the ones that are in the city, because some areas in the city, some of it's in the county, so there are some donut holes in that area. The liquor stores are permitted by special exception. And so when those applications come forward, when there's new ones, those are posted, and it's posted because it's a public process, and we encourage the neighborhood to come out and both course, speak their opposition to those applications when they come forward.
And we have done that, in fact, they chief, will plug it to the side, hey, you know about this, like, whoa, let's mobilize, let's get a party together. We have done that. But we do all work, and we do have other things going on. And so to me, my question, don't say no, just open your mind. How can we put something in place that will stop this process? There's certain communities in Columbia that don't have these issues. You can't tell me that there's something done somewhere and tell us how to go through this. You cannot have a liquor store next to a liquor store within a half a mile, or whatever that number would be. We just all inundated over there, and something has to be done.
That's right.
We'll figure that out. But it's very, very valid, so let us work with the department, maybe we can put together something, because that might have to be, explain what it takes, because it is Jonathan, so that's been coming up with some of the other issues that you just made, but, yeah, I think we gotta narrowly tailor to your point and talk about what you're already seeing, because that grandfather, too, you've already got so many
so a text amendment would be an amendment to our zoning ordinance, for possibly a certain requirement, maybe distancing, maybe number, maybe a certain amount of square footage, or, those types of things that we would make that the zoning ordinance could be amended in order to address an infiltration of a certain amount of businesses in a certain geographical area. And while we're taking notes too, so we're, it's not like we're saying no, we're just taking notes on what we can.
Hi, my name is Jocelyn Pepper-Munson, and I live in Hyde Park in Keenan Terrace Neighborhood Association area. And I just wanted to say that I was at February 6th, BOZA hearing about the Murfreesboro gas station development. And there were 12 people who spoke against this development that did not want it. And of those people, 3 of them were neighborhood association presidents representing Cottontown, Earlwood, Hyde Park Neighborhood Association. The only person that spoke positively about the development was the lawyer for the developers. There were a dozen letters that were presented, and when they asked the secretary, what was the count on those? How many were for and how many were against? There were 9 letters for, and there were 3 letters against. And those 3 letters were from neighborhood associations. They represented the will of the neighborhoods. The 9 letters of support, I looked at them later on. They were from lawyers. They were from other developers. There was one from the chamber. But in one instance, 3 of the letters were from same family members. I looked at the addresses of the people who were in support of this. None of them lived in the area. They lived elsewhere. It's people from other places that want to make money off the backs of the poor people in our community. And the idea that this title loan, it wants to expand and wants to dig in deeper in our community really makes me very upset. And I'm tired of our neighborhoods being forced to accept less. So.
All really great dialogue. And we not that we might wait to Jonathan, but we special guest for class is Aisha Triggers, our director of Office of Business Opportunities. So let's give Jonathan a hand. So we will start our last presentation on small business and economic opportunities. Because we know the secretary is bringing to my attention that there are, and we kind of talked about some of the negative type businesses, but there are some very positive business owners in North Columbia too, and we want to make sure those are highlighted and people know what services they provide and all of those things. So I'm going to hand off to Aisha to talk about what she does and what she does. Here she is. That's a good thing.
The City of Columbia's Office of Business Opportunities empowers small businesses and entrepreneurs by providing access to resources, training, funding opportunities, and strategic partnerships. The department works to drive economic growth, create opportunities for underserved communities, and help local businesses thrive while building a stronger, more inclusive Columbia.
I love that video. So, I promise I won't keep you too long. It's my understanding you have a QR code on your agenda, so it has my full presentation. And I love to talk about what we do in OBO, so if you have any questions, after our meeting, just give me a call and schedule a time to chat, in person, virtual, whatever you need to get the information on that. So, this is my beautiful team. Thank you. This is my beautiful team at OBO that works every day. They have a strong passion for helping our small business community throughout the Columbia area. And all of them will be able to assist you if you just give us a call. So just an overview of what we do. Our focus is on small businesses, and we do that through a variety of ways. We have a commercial loan program. We also do a lot of contractor and supplier engagement, as well as technical assistance, education, and advocacy. We work with a lot of our local municipalities and other organizations to provide small business resources to our entrepreneurs throughout the Columbia area. So some of the programs that we have, as I mentioned, is our loan program. Now that is limited to businesses that are located within the city of Columbia corporate limits, but that spans a wide variety of areas. I encourage people to go on our GIS system that we have in the city. It's great. You can put in your address for the potential business and see if it's located within the city, or you can give us a call. We can help you go through that process. We've been very fortunate to have these funds that allow for acquisition of property. We can help with operating costs, equipment, leasehold improvement. There's a vast variety of things we can do with that loan program. And we do want to make sure that all communities throughout Columbia have access to this resource, so we make sure that we are tracking what businesses are receiving the loans, and if we need to do some additional outreach efforts to reach all areas of our population. Currently, we have about 59 loans in our portfolio totaling about $4.3 million. As those loans are paid back, then we can reallocate them back into the community. We're very proud of that loan program, and I'm happy to share any information that you may need if you are considering starting a business or if you have an existing business. We have a loan officer in-house, Brett Whiting, that can walk you through the process, make sure you have a business plan, and those types of requirements to apply for loans. I did kind of look at the last year at the loans we provided. I'm very happy that for every dollar of public funding, $4.28 in private dollars are leveraged, so it allows our funding to go further to really help the community. Technical assistance, education, and advocacy, I think that's what we're most known for. We do a lot of workshops. We do a lot of workshops here at Busby Street. This is probably one of our favorite places to do workshops. So it's really important that we go out into the community. We don't require people to necessarily always come down to downtown Columbia. We go out to different areas. We're in Earlwood often, like I said, Busby Street, Eau Claire Print Shop. We really utilize the city facilities so that we can come out into the community to share the resources that are available. We also work with all of the partners that I've listed here. I think we do a great job of collaborating with these various organizations to provide different resources that we need for our small business community. I tell everybody it's not a competition. We all have the same mission of helping our small business community. So if you ever have trouble reaching someone, I encourage you to give us a call and we can make that direct contact with whatever organization that you think you may need to help grow your small business.
Aisha, I wanted to add with those that you have listed there that there's a really good relationship with like the U.S. Small Business Bill. Aisha knows how to great points of contact outside of just the city or the state, but federal dollars that can be leveraged. And it just makes me think about Congressman Clyburn as we're sitting in this facility and you all using now this facility, who's a big component and help bring dollars to this community to get this facility built out. And as you can see, the way we talked about earlier tonight, how we're using it for these community programs, but also the shared space with our police department. Just thought I'd throw that out. There's a lot of conversations right now about the congressman in our district. But we want to make sure that these resources are, as we've always been able to have those type of partnerships. It'd be a shame to see any of that go away. I'm digressing, I'm sorry.
No, that's fine, and I'll kind of speak to that relationship in just a moment. Our next level class, I know in the report, I did receive a copy of the report, and one of the items listed about some type of entrepreneurship classes to help startup businesses learn the ins and outs of business planning and marketing. And so one of the programs I'm really proud of at the city is our next level classes, and those are for startup businesses. This is our last graduating class of 30 people. We were right here in Busby Street. Like I said, we do utilize this facility a lot. And that was a 10-week cohort that walk these small businesses through the process of growing their business. And we do it every year from January until April. If anyone's interested, we have a waiting list on our website, which I will share with you. And we always have a waiting list because it's such a popular program and they learn so much. It's also an opportunity to network with like-minded entrepreneurs, which that's priceless when you're going through the process. So that's our next level class, which we've done for the past 14 years. We also do a fast track class with Midlands Tech, which is for the more experienced entrepreneurs, because you're a continuous learner when you're an entrepreneur, so you never arrive. So fast track is for those existing businesses, and we've had 23 years of a partnership with Midlands Tech, and we just had a graduating class from that program of 20 with fast track. So those are very popular. Again, I encourage anyone that is interested in that space, or if you know someone who is interested, just give them our information. We'd be happy to talk to them about the process and make sure that they are on that waiting list and ready when we start taking the applicants, probably around October, November. Some of the strategies to promote small business are contractor and supplier engagement. And really, this is like the procurement opportunities that exist. The city spends millions of dollars every year, and we want to make sure our small businesses have an opportunity to participate in that procurement process. So we work very closely with our procurement and contracts department to make sure we share opportunities that are coming out of the city. We do have a citywide 15% goal, and really what that means, so each department has discretionary money. It might not be a lot, but we have discretionary funds that we can potentially use, whether it be someone to come and do graphic design, or someone to do our printing, or office supplies, the things that we need to purchase. So we look for opportunities to use our small business community to fill those needs. And then we have the larger businesses, our larger projects. I know our ACM Sheely is here. We work very closely with Columbia Water for some of those heavy construction projects. So what our office does is look what opportunities those projects have for some of our smaller contractors, and we do that on a regular basis. And so our office is responsible for that. One of the things that we have is the directory, and it has all of the city departments and the types of services and goods that they procure. So you will go on there and you'll see all of our city departments, the types of things they procure, and who is the contact for that. So and these are the small purchases. Like I said, it might be office supplies or catering or graphic design or things like that. And so we update that on an annual basis. Community engagement, we have our Small Business Advisory Council that meets on a quarterly basis, and it is comprised of different small business owners or organizations that work with small business, and it really gives us an opportunity to get feedback on what we're doing well, what we can improve on as a city, and so we appreciate having that dialogue with our small business community. And they're always giving us great information on what we can do better. Like I said, that's really important to us. And so that is one way that we can make sure we have that intentional effort to get that feedback from the small business community. Our workshops is what we love to do all the time. The one to your left is in Busby Street. That was a procurement training, just to talk about the procurement opportunities. On the right, that was either Women's Empowerment or Black Expo last year. We really try to go to different community events to make sure that individuals know about the services that we provide. And then the one at the bottom is a new cohort that we started last year called Grow Up and Grow Old. And the intent of that is it's really important to the mayor and the city manager that young people graduate here in Columbia and then stay here after graduation. We don't want them to think they have to go to Charlotte or Atlanta or New York. There are opportunities here in our city. So we really are trying to be intentional about encouraging people to stay here after graduation. And that was a fun time, lots of energy of those young people, and I just know that that's going to continue to blossom. Some other events, we've gone to the Grace Christian Church. They had an Invest Fest recently to talk about financial resources. Biz Arts does more creative things. And really, I just wanted to provide that list to show that if there's an opportunity for us to come out in the community and share the resources that we have in the city, we love to do that. It's what we enjoy. These are just some past events we had. Our QuickBooks training, which is anybody's in small business, you know QuickBooks is important to have. You need to have a way to track your revenue. So we brought in a CPA to go over that. We bring in subject matter experts throughout the year to come in and talk about different tools that small businesses can use. That middle one is our Small Business Week conference. Did anyone go to our Small Business Week conference out here? Okay, well, yes, that's that. Oh, and you have it. Okay, good. Okay, and you did fast track. Excellent. So annually, we do a Small Business Week conference, which we're all really excited about. We just finished our 13th annual conference, and we've started to plan our 14th. So I encourage any small business owners to come out next May for us to do that. And then the one on the far right is a before you pitch. We had someone come in and talk about intellectual property. So those are the types of topics that we provide to our small business community. And we do virtual as well, because we know sometimes you can't step away. Sometimes we can do like a lunch and learn. And so we're always eager to find out what's the best platform for us to reach the most people. And so we've done a variety. We've done morning classes, afternoon, lunch, and virtual, because we want to make sure we get out to the masses. Our upcoming workshop, speaking of SBA, Small Business Administration, we have partnered with them for a lender matchmaker next week. Again, that will be here at Busby Street. It's from 10 to 3, and it will give small businesses the opportunity to meet with, I think we'll have about 30 lenders out there that will be able to answer questions as far as what you need if you are at a place where you need access to capital. And that's really important. That's what we see as the biggest challenges for small businesses. So we usually partner every year with SBA to provide some type of lender matchmaker, so you can have that one-on-one conversation and get your questions answered and develop a relationship. Because what we always hear is you really need to start that relationship before you need the money, so it's easier for you to have that conversation when you're ready to apply. I think this is my last slide. Is anybody signed up for our newsletter? Nobody? Okay. Well, here's an opportunity to sign up for our newsletter. It comes out annually every Monday. We have a staff member that works diligently on that. And the great thing about our newsletter is we don't just share City of Columbia events. We share SBA's events. SBA has some funding available right now for small businesses, and we share that on that newsletter. Procurement opportunities, where I spoke earlier about there's different opportunities to work with the city. We include all those procurement opportunities on the newsletters at the very top. Just different information that is of interest to your small business community. You can find it in the newsletter. So I encourage you to register for that. It's very quick. I think the city has a wonderful website, and OBO falls right in line with that. So it's easy, user-friendly to sign up for our newsletter. Yes, you can do it right now. And then here's my contact information. Like I said, you can send us an email, give us a call. I'd be happy to meet one-on-one with you, or if you have any contacts, please send them my way. I just want everyone to know that it's a comfortable place to come and have a conversation with us, to talk about your small business. I know sometimes it can be intimidating to go to a governmental office, but we really have a fun environment, and we really want to be here as a resource for our small businesses. And we're open to ideas. If there are any, if you see them out in the market and you're like, how doesn't the city have something like that? That might be an opportunity for us to research that and see if that's something we can bring to our city. So I will accept questions now.
I think my question on the barriers I see it's not for the small business, it's the lack of visibility. We come in the neighborhood and people are not aware of it. So I'm not sure if they're marketing strategy. I mean, they come here, but there's no marketing about the small business. So they come in the neighborhood, we're not aware of it.
I believe we have a challenge for people not, I don't know whether they don't know how to do it or have the finances to do it. That's a major concern for us. But another thing I think overall, we need to get some help in terms of some tax breaks and or some incentives for businesses to come into our area. Some larger businesses that can help the economy by hiring folk, job training. We really need to look in terms of some kind of tax break to help them, or incentives to get businesses to come to our area. One of the issues we try to do in terms of cleaning up our area is to incentivize people to come. People don't want to come, it's kind of chicken and egg. But we're not trying to come back to community, we have other challenges. We're trying to say, get rid of those challenges and clean it up, and then bring other businesses in so we can be more, effective. And clearly with us being in the center of Scout Motors, in the center of downtown, that's a great area for business. That's a great area to put homes there. We have access to 26, 77 out the highway, great brick homes. It's a wonderful area to be and for business to come. So we need some incentives to bring these businesses in. We've done it before. So we need some incentives to bring these businesses and companies in, and whether that's a large business, small business, whatever, we need some help in that issue seriously. To incentivize folks to come out to here.
Openings all the time, where we encourage the community to come support them. But then also maybe there's some creative ways for us to do some additional marketing based off of the media that's available in the community. So I know I talked to a community before that has like a magazine, and so we were able to highlight several of the businesses. We actually did for the whole city. We included, the 5 Points, the Main Street area. So I'd be curious to see if there's some media that we could utilize and maybe collaborate on how we could promote business.
And that's really important. I'm one.
Yes.
By training. And I've gone through Fast Track, and I've gone through some stuff we have here. And I worked in other cities, municipalities, Virginia Beach, that area, Chesapeake, whatever. And, some small businesses came in, and they did a business plan. They're required to have money in their business plan to advertise.
Yeah.
Case in point for us, I use the example quite a bit when people look at Plaza on North Main, you wear that.
Yeah.
There is a drugstore there. Did y'all know the drugstore there? No. That's my fault. You guys came in, I guess, and did a grand opening, cut a ribbon, and that's it. No social media, no flyer, no coming out to churches, no coming out to communities saying, we're here, we want to work with you. None of that happened. And so I know you guys are keeping that. But so is it, we need to reinforce it to them or give them some additional dollars to help them do it or whatever, because they just are not advertising. And then the issue comes back, you guys will support those support the businesses. We end up with that. To support them, so that's a major, I'm sorry.
So, Ms. Ellis, I know our neighborhood is like growing at the time.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
All of our neighborhoods, I think, have Facebook pages. So couldn't you maybe, establish a directory of the neighborhood, presidents and their email addresses, and then notify like Bob, this business is opening up in your neighborhood, and maybe if you do a little video with the grand opening or something, and they could post that on the neighborhood pages that are applicable, it'd be free.
That's a good idea.
It's a big monthly anyway, so
Yeah.
to see something like that.
And I think that we as communities, when we know a small group come in, we need to go there and embrace them, right? And I think that we should tell them, we're gonna patronize you more if you hire our people out there.
Yeah.
That's a two-way street. If you hire us, our people in our communities helps our tax base, helps our economic base, then we're gonna support you more, it's gonna be reciprocal. I mean, those are things we can do in terms of, like you said, spotlighting them, going out and encouraging them, and whatever. And then, we got a two-way thing going, we see people hire. That's a process.
Thank you for that.
We're
Marketing team here tonight. So I know I introduced her team.
Yeah.
We'll look at some of these things.
What else I wanna, before we go, people look tired, but is there anything else to talk about that? Because I think we really do need some incentive programs to get businesses to come out here. That's a must, and we just want to get this, yes.
I think it's about this, and then the wonderful. But I am missing that mobile grocery truck situation.
Tracy, you take it to your mind.
The mobile grocery store. Yeah, we're missing it. What happened? Okay, yeah, so
break during the winter and early spring, but they should start back up in May. And I think he'll do May through September at various locations, yeah.
Almost in June now.
I will follow back up with him in the morning.
Okay, I just said.
Hey, I have an off-topic question. I don't know if everybody here is aware that the Lutheran Seminary is for sale. Okay, and can we get a status update on what's going on there? Because it affects all of our neighborhoods. I'm from Hyde Park Community Terrace, so I'm right there, so it affects all of us.
I can tell you what I can do.
You must know more.
Well, all I know it's under contract. I understand it's under contract. We're talking to one person right now. The asking price is $15 million. I don't know what they negotiated, but they were asking that, and they're talking to someone. I had a developer come in town who wanted to talk with them about it. So I know. And he tried to get somebody to come and do stuff out of here, right? And I was bringing them in, come on. And they said to me, we can't let them see it because it's under contract, and that's where it is this moment. And that was probably about 2 weeks ago. But any other questions? Yes. Oh, tell David, yeah.
Thank you, Aisha.
Just a quick announcement. I was thinking,
I am the community mobilizer for AHF. And AHF is provide food for you guys tonight. Because we are part of the 292 community. Our clinic is in that community. I live in that community. And more of my volunteers in that community partner. While the community, the alliance, so you guys can might have to do that. But we also sponsor a monthly pop-up here with fresh fruit and vegetables, straight from South Carolina, State Farm, Clayton Roy's Farm. We get all the fresh fruits and vegetables from there. And this month is Wednesday, May 27th, her birthday, at the Assumption Lutheran Church, actually right behind the Lutheran Seminary. And we have fresh fruits, meats, and so forth. Encourage anybody who knows somebody who needs help, come on out. It starts at 11 o'clock, the flyers over there. And this is a pop-up fair, there may be another location next month within our community.
They're not require you all you do is sign in. That's it.
Sign your name, coming in, we don't ask you for your firstborn, we don't ask you for your number, we don't ask you for just come on in, and if you need it. And recommend folks who need it, bring them to go up.
That's excellent information.
One thing I'll let you guys know that when we had our meeting, there were 3 things that we need to work on, our community. One was resource fair, which we did in the city of Columbia, that was excellent. We had over 30 vendors there for resources. We had 109 people attend, and let me just tell you, that was a big deal because of storming that day. And people still came out for that resource fair. That was one of the things I think Office of Community Engagement will partner with us on that. We also were trying to put together a cleanup day for the entire community. That's the kind of back and forth, but we're still working on that. And the third thing is going to happen on June the 11th, guys. We'll have a job fair, career job fair on June 11th from 4:30 to 7:30. We got Scout Motors already lined up. The city of Columbia has agreed to be a part of it. CPD has been glad to be a part of it. Richland County. So we're talking Pesky Works. So we will have a job fair there to help our folks get some more employment and development in the community. So I want to make you guys aware of that. And we'll get the flyers out there. At the Wiley County Family Life Center from 4:30 to 7:30. I will keep you working to come early. Who's already worked and come. And you guys can talk to you guys already. And y'all guys are signed up for it. And we'll be able to help in terms of hopefully get some employment.
Well, Ms. Singletary, I claim success tonight.
Yes.
I think this is an excellent information sharing. Thank you for your vision and for
We will thank you so much, like I said again, because you guys came out and showed up. So we want you to be.
And we got Stephen Bolton with our public relations department. He's gonna help us wrap it up right before Reverend McDowell closes us out. Stephen is our new
this, there's a form outside, please sign that, and we'll keep informed with you.
Because even his mission, in all sincerity, is to make sure that our community is informed, right?
Yes.
So, real quick, Stephen, talk about
Yes,
that.
so just getting into, the biggest task is making sure, I see my community presidents here. Most of you I know, if I have not met you yet, please make sure I see you today. The biggest thing is just making sure you know what the city of Columbia has to offer. We do have these newsletters that we send out. You can scan the QR code that's up there right now to make sure you get it. We also have a sign up on the QR table, which is outside in the hallway. Really quick, just give us your name, your email, we will get the information to you. That is the biggest thing. We have so much to offer, and it's so